What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Keep It Hoop YouTube channel. Today, I wanted to talk about Patrick Beverley's defense on Devin Booker. Now, this has been one of the talking points of the series so far after game one, where Devin Booker just torched the Clippers and their defense, had himself a 40-point triple-double where he had 40 points, 13 rebounds, 11 assists on 7 of 7 from the free throw line, 3 of 7 from the three-point line, and 15 of 29 from the field. He was able to use a lot of these DeAndre Ayton screens and maneuver himself in the mid-range. Used a lot of snake dribbles, something that I'm sure he learned a lot from Chris Paul, and just hit a wider range of tough fallaways, fadeaways, mid-range pull-ups, and really just looked unstoppable. Since then, in the 4 games, Patrick Beverley has played a lot more. He's gotten the primary assignment on Devin Booker, and in those 4 games, Devin Booker has averaged 23 points on 33% shooting from the field, 28.6% from the three-point line, which is the big one, and also 5 turnovers a game. And he just hasn't been himself. Now, Devin Booker has had to adjust to wearing the mask, and that often gets in players' ways. It's just a lot. It's just another whole thing to think about, right? Just distraction, and it's not comfortable. You have to worry about the sweat, the condensation, and you can be thrown off your rhythm. That being said, Patrick Beverley has played amazing defense on Devin Booker. There's the Russell Westbrook school of thought where pundits out there and critics will kind of point to how Patrick Beverley sometimes can trick you guys, right, into making him an elite defender. There are times where he, can seem to trick people with his effort and trash talking and what some may call dirty play. That's a conversation for a whole nother video. But I do think in a vacuum, in this series alone, he has won the one-on-one matchup against Devin Booker. He's done his job admirably. And the really impressive thing about him is the fact that there are series where he doesn't play a lot, right? But he doesn't pout, doesn't complain. Whenever he's out there, whatever minutes he gets, he's going 150%. And, it's been really impressive, all right? So we're going to take a look at a play here. Early or late in the fourth. Right here, the defensive stance was something that kind of stood out to me. And this is something I've noticed with Avery Bradley, Tony Allen, some of these wing defenders that aren't necessarily big or have, elite wingspan, but are still able to really just get up in guys' faces and make them uncomfortable. So you're going to see here that Patrick Beverley is at a 90-degree angle, right, with his stance. Something that's kind of rare. A lot of guys, you're taught to stay low and you want to be wide with your feet, but also usually their back is up a little bit more straight. You're a bit more on balance, and you're looking at the defender. But what this allows you to do is, even without having that insane wingspan, you're able to get up into guys' faces and have your arms in the way of the offensive players' movements, whether they want to rip through or whatever, and just get up and then just make them uncomfortable, right? And you're able to do that without sacrificing too much balance or your ability to move with them laterally. So that, again, this is something that I don't think gets taught too much, but I do think it is a skill or a fundamental, strategy that players, especially undersized guards, can utilize. So I wanted to point that out. And then, this is going to be kind of redundant, but for a lot of what Patrick Beverley does, and you're going to hear me say this on his other plays, but a lot of it is just fight. It's just effort and mentality. And he talks about how he wants to make the other team and other players uncomfortable because he hates when defenders, are physical and are right up under him and make him uncomfortable. So he's doing that to Devin Booker, right? Gets up in his face. Sometimes he reaches a bit too much, but is able to get the ball here, and with really under 2 seconds left on the shot clock, able to make it really difficult for Devin Booker to get a clean look off. Terrence Mann's even here for the help. And that is another thing I want to point out, right? Patrick Beverley can play that up close. One, because he obviously is comfortable and has the confidence in himself to be able to stay with Devin Booker when he makes a move. But there also has to be a certain amount of confidence in your teammates to be able to do that, right? He trusts that Reggie Jackson can slide over, or Paul George, and even Marcus Morris, right? And I've talked about this before. When you're trying to stop an elite offensive player, it is at the end of the day still a team defense thing. As good as Patrick Beverley has been on Devin Booker individually, you still do need to have your teammates hover and be able to rotate and help so that you can play so aggressive. But again, he's able to poke the ball away, and by the time that Devin Booker gets the ball back, Patrick Beverley knows that he can't dribble or pass away, so he's able to play even more aggressive, and he's able to force the air ball or even the shot clock violation, right? So, you see here Patrick Beverley super pumped up, right? You see the crowd, they're cheering, they're into it. Late in a game like this, huge play, it can really change the momentum of things, and every team needs a guy like this, especially a team that has playoff and championship aspirations. A guy that's not afraid to do the dirty work, a guy that's always ready no matter how many minutes he's played or hasn't played. And he's really been huge for that team. So another thing Patrick Beverley does really well, and I think this is something that gets lost when talking about great defenders, individual defenders, especially out in the perimeter, right? A lot of guys and scouts and analysts, they talk about how good they are at moving their feet, even blocking shots, contesting shots, and staying with their man. But that also includes getting around screens. There's a lot of screens being run in an NBA game, off ball, on ball, especially today's game of just so much guard oriented action, spreading the floor out. And right here, Devin Booker actually does a really nice job. And you teach your ball handlers or scorers, your wings to do this, which is go shoulder to hip. And that makes it awfully difficult for the defender to fight through the screen. But Patrick Beverley actually does a really nice job here of almost contorting his body at an angle so he can get around the DeAndre Ayton screen. Now, if I'm nitpicking and just if ideally, I think DeAndre Ayton's a bit lower and his feet and base are wider so that the screen is a little bit, better, taking up more space. But that being said, I think that DeAndre Ayton's screen and Booker's execution and usage of the screen is actually fine. Patrick Beverley just does a really nice job of fighting around it. Again, and that's a lot of it is just effort and mentality, right? Swipes at the ball, does a really nice job of getting it out of Booker's hands without fouling, and then this leads to a fast break or Reggie Jackson has a nice right-handed finish, right? And plays like this are big, not only because it can give you and your team a fast break opportunity, but also it takes guys out of rhythm. It can wear on a guy like Devin Booker, both physically and mentally, right? Just having someone always there, it can get really tiring. And then very next play, again, this is all just effort and mentality. Patrick Beverley gets right back into his defensive stance, doesn't care how tired he is, here to win, picks him up just past half court, right? And this is big because this isn't just taking Booker out of his rhythm. It can also take the whole Suns offense out of rhythm a bit. A lot of times, if you're an offense, you're planning around the defense that's going to be set up around closer to the 3-point line. Situation like this, though, now it may take another pass or another move, an extra second or two to get into the flow of the offense. And, maybe that leads to a bad shot or a turnover. And again, maybe it doesn't even lead to anything of any difference on this play in a vacuum specifically. But again, we go back to the fact that this can wear you out physically and mentally, which is multiple efforts. And, he's able to get the ball out of Booker's hands here pretty early on in the shot clock. Again, Beverley's hyped. Fans are hyped, and this is all what it's really about: mentality, physicality, effort. And Booker's talked about how Beverley has made it tough on him, being more physical, limiting touches, and just playing him really far out. And I don't think many guys are willing to do this anymore. But when you do see it, it's refreshing. And regardless of if you like Patrick Beverley or not, I think these are qualities you do have to respect. It's going to be interesting to see because not much has really changed for Booker or the Suns offense so far. Maybe they can run a few more things off ball to get Patrick Beverley off of him. Now, the Clippers have done a pretty good job of not switching too many times. So a lot of times you do still have either Beverley, Man, Paul George, one of these really good perimeter defenders on him. Again, it does help that you do have multiple guys that you can put on him. They've also attacked him when he's on defense with posting up Marcus Morris, a nice wrinkle to things last game. But if Devin Booker wants to lead this team, be legendary like his tattoo says, like Kobe told him to do, he's going to need to find a way to figure it out, because Chris Paul has been pretty good, a bit up and down this series, but you trust him in most situations, and DeAndre Ayton has been really good this whole postseason. But Devin Booker's forced some shots. that's led to less opportunities for Jay Crowder, Cameron Johnson, and Mikal Bridges. And when they're firing, I feel like the Suns are really at their best, right? Because it does allow Devin Booker to kind of, save his energy for the fourth and play off ball a little bit more and focus on his shooting. But, you know, he's forced some shots. Again, we talked about the low shooting percentages, even with the high attempts. It's thrown, again, not just Devin Booker, but the whole Suns off rhythm a bit. But he still has to be that guy for the Suns to ultimately win one of these next two games, beat the Clippers, get to the finals, and have a chance to win it all. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Suns, Monty Williams, Devin Booker do anything different. I expect Ty Lue, this Clippers defense, and Patrick Beverley to keep the same energy and focus. But this series isn't over. We've seen Ty Lue and this Clippers team, this specific iteration of this Clippers team, battle back from, being down in the series before, and that's how they got here. So I'm excited for the next two games. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, though. I know we've had a little bit of a decrease in content, both on YouTube, podcasts, and social media. Been a bit busy with other stuff, but hopefully we'll get back in the rhythm a bit. I know with the finals coming up, we'll have a lot of things to talk about. Off season is always a pretty busy time for us when things start to ramp up, with free agency and the draft. So we'll definitely have more stuff coming up, so stay tuned for that. Also, like I said, please remember to follow us on our social media pages. Always, trying to post about games, moves, rumors, and all that. But yeah, until next time, peace.